prophecy that has been fulfilled. I believe in my heart that as Christians we waste a lot of time, and some of us believe that these prophecies, a lot of these prophecies that I'm going to talk about today are in the future. And the only prophecies that we see in the future that will concern us is after probation. That's in Revelation 16. With evil, that great earthquake. But I'm going to deal with Matthew chapter 24 today. And all these prophecies have been fulfilled already. And I want to quote historical facts to prove that they were fulfilled. But I would like to pay special attention to what I have to say, because I'm going towards an objective at the end of this 15-minute presentation, which is very dear to my heart. I'm one of those people who believe in perfection of character. And I believe that you cannot have one foot in the world and one foot in the church. And I'm hoping and praying that by presenting this afternoon that it will touch my heart also, where it will give my heart absolutely and fully to Christ. Without thinking about worldly things, about cars, mortgage payments, but just about Christ. Because of time, I would ask you to turn to me, but I'll read Matthew 24:29. And it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Please forgive me because I'm very nervous. Now, event number one is the sun will return to darkness. And this remarkable dark day of May 19, 1780, is described by Samuel Williams of Harvard. The professor relates between the hours of 10 and 11 a.m. and continued until the middle of the next night. Candles were lighted up in houses. The birds having sung their evening songs disappeared and became silent. The fowls retired to roost. The cocks were crowing all around as if it's daybreak. Objects could not be distinguished but at very close distance to the face, and everything appeared as gloom of night. And that was taken from Memoirs. Forgive me. I am nervous as well. That was taken from Memoirs of American Academy of Arts and Science, Volume 1, pages 234 and 235. Here then we have the second act in 24:29, Matthew 24:29, second event, the moon will turn as blood. And this moon turning as blood is not an eclipse. And I will show you why as I go on. I know we had eclipse not long ago. There was an appearing of midnight at noonday. And in the evening, although the moon was just past full, perhaps it was never darker since the children of Israel left the house of bondage. In connection with this extraordinary phenomenon, the moon was reported to appear as red. And this was taken from the Independent Chronicle, Boston, May 25, 1780, page 2. The Chronicle went on to say, this means that those skeptics out there can't claim a lunar eclipse as the culprit for this prophetic event. Most everyone I know owns or knows someone that owns a computer or has access to the internet, and I suggest that you check the lunar charts for the date May 19, 1780 to verify this was a natural event. You are bound to have no trouble confirming this fact. Plus, an eclipse can never last all day and all night, unless, of course, the sun stops in its tracks. They stop for 24 hours. My hand is feeling different right now, kill me. Now the third event, the stars shall fall from heaven. This event occurred on the morning of November 13th, 1833. Said an eyewitness, a Yale astronomer, was rendered memorable by an exhibition of phenomenal falls from the stars, which is probably more extensive and magnificent than any similar one hitherto recorded. Probably no celestial phenomenon has ever occurred in this country since its first settlement, which was viewed with so much admiration and delight by one class of spectators, or with so much astonishment and fear by another class. And this was taken from the American Journal of Science and Arts, volume 25, page 363, 364. Now, that is really amazing. All three prophetic events occurred in perfect order, just as Jesus said they would occur. And one thing may not be aware of, and one thing many may not be aware of is that they also happened in the exact time in history that Christ said they would. Did you notice in Matthew 24:29 that Jesus started the passage by saying, immediately after the tribulation of those days, before sharing the three prophetic events? In other words, all those prophetic events were to occur after Rome were finished slaughtering or killing the Christians. And just as prophecy predicted, the Roman Catholic Church was put on power by Napoleon and the massive killing were stopped. Now, let us turn to Revelation 6:12. And Revelation 6:12 tells me, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. I don't know if you noticed this, in case you missed it. Revelation 6:12 actually puts it in chronological order. It states that there was an earthquake, and then John writes, the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became of blood. And it really did occur before the remarkable dark day of May 19, 1780. 25 years before, it happened at least 25 years before the dark day, and the moon became of blood. This Lisbon earthquake, which occurred on November 1st, 1755, is the most notable earthquake in history, the effects of which were felt over an area of 4 million square miles, and 90,000 persons lost their lives on that day. Now, in Revelation 6:12, also shows us that we are living between the sixth and the seventh seal. And we recognize that the Bible warns us of certain events to look for, which will indicate that we are indeed in the very last days of history. And some of these events that we should look for is wars and rumors of wars, distress, perplexity, and fear within all nations. And let me read something from the Arabic newspaper. According to a report in the Arabic newspaper Al-Hayat, Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda terrorist network bought tactical nuclear weapons from Ukraine in 1998. The report says the terrorists still have the suitcase nukes, weapons, and are storing them in safe places for possible use. So I can see why people are distressed, perplexed, and feared within all nations. We are also told in these last days that knowledge shall be increased. Daniel 12:4. Things that we should look for is that there are scoffers who will not endure sound doctrine, 2 Peter 3:3, and 2 Timothy 4:3 and 4. And all these are things that we are familiar with that are happening all around us, and the Bible predicts that we should be looking for these things in the end time. And yet still, we live our lives as if we have all the time in the world, not realizing that time is very short. The Bible tells us in 2 Timothy 3:1-4, in the last days there will be a craze for pleasure. 2 Timothy 3:1-4, we all know that. There will be no regard for law. Bloody crimes and violence will increase. Matthew 24:12. We even warned of that in Ezekiel 7:23, where it says the land is full of violence and bloody crimes, and the city is full of violence. Now, for some practical information concerning the earthquakes, the Bible tells us that they shall increase, and they have. I didn't bring all the information, but I just brought a little tidbit. And between 1990 and 1999, all the earthquakes on the Richter scale between 8 and 9, in the world were 6 earthquakes. 10 years later, in 2000 to 2012, there were 17. In the range between 7 and 8, in 1990 to 99, there were 147. 2000 to 2012, 185. And between 6 and 7 on the Richter scale, 1990 to 99, we had 1,339. And in 2000 to 2012, 1,890. So you can actually see that there is an increase, and the Bible word, you can take it to the bank. It is proof. Approximately every single day in the world, there are 275 earthquakes that occur each day that are large enough to be felt by humans. Now, a vast majority of believers here at Still and all over the world, they believe that Matthew 24:14 is one of the, which talks about the gospel going to all the world before the end times. I have to agree with Sister Joanna last Sabbath when she said she don't believe that. I definitely don't believe that. I believe that everybody knows about Jesus. So if they're ready to go to all the world, I ain't following that. I believe everybody knows about Jesus, and it's about time that we forget the world and come to Christ. That is my personal belief. That is why this is so dear to my heart. We, the professed people of Christ, are behaving like the people spoken of in Hosea 13:13. And Hosea 13:13 reads, "Pain has come to the people like the pain of childbirth, but they are like a child who resists being born. The moment of birth has arrived, but they are still in the womb." I'd like to choose a passage to close with that is taken from John chapter 15, verses 1 to 8. And it sort of encapsulates everything that I've said or tried to say this evening. It sort of brings everything into one. And I'd like to use the J.B. Phillips translation, John chapter 15, 1 to 8. And it reads, "I am the vine. My Father is the vine dresser. He removes any of my branches which are not bearing fruit, and he prunes every branch that does bear fruit to increase its yield. Now you have already been pruned by my words. You must go on growing in me, and I will grow in you. For just as the branch cannot bear any fruit unless it shares the life of the vine, so you can produce nothing unless you go on growing in me. I am the vine itself. You are the branches. It is the man who shares my life, and whose life I share, who proves fruitful. For the plain fact is that apart from me, you can do nothing at all. The man who does not share my life is like a branch that is broken off and withers away. He becomes just like dried sticks that men pick up and use for firewood. But if you live your life in me, and my words live in your hearts, you can ask for whatever you like and it will come true for you. This is how my Father will be glorified, and you are becoming fruitful and being my disciples." This evening, I ask from the bottom of my heart that we, as a congregation, we take the words of the Bible seriously, because I believe that the words of the Bible should be taken seriously, even above the words of the prophet whom we love quote so much. God says in Matthew 5:48, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. And I believe that all of us will strive to be among the 144,000. Thank you.
Amen.